before we get into that, make sure y'all subscribe to the Purple Underground right here. Subscribe, turn on y'all post notifications, ding, and y'all gonna get all the latest bangers we got. Peace. Yo, 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 what's up, people? This your boy P. Ross back in the building. You know, and we have another very special guest. But before we introduce her, CMS, tell them where you hailing from.
Yo, this is Micah, aka CMS, and I'm coming from Newport, Kentucky.
And we got Lenny B in the building.
AKA L Boogie, and I hail from the Purple Underground. That's where I hail from.
That's right. That's right. And I am P. Ross hailing from the Purple Underground. And we have the lovely Miss Gayle Chapman.
Yes, yes, yes.
Woohoo!
All right. Tell the people where you hailing from, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm having fun. I mean, let's get the party started. Come on.
All right. Go ahead, CMS.
Okay. First off, thank you, Gail, for doing this. We really do appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Okay. Real quick question. So we got a chance to see you at the celebration back in April, and I was just curious to know what was your experience like, since that was your first time being at Paisley.
It was pretty wonderful. I mean, one of the first things I did was walk into the building with my cell phone in plain view and stand in one of the parts of the museum with nobody around until security walked by, and they said, "Who are you?" And I said, "I'm just waiting for my tag so I can, be legal back here." And I kind of slowly moved my phone around to the back of my body, and he says, "Who are you waiting for?" And I told him the gal's name. He says, "Oh, I'll radio her." I said, "Okay, great." And I thought, I get the odd feeling I'm not supposed to have a phone in here. And I was right by that funky looking piano that's in there. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a yellow
the black one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I just stood there and looked nonchalant, and three more people walked by and said, "Who are you and what are you doing here?" And I'm like, I'm Gayle, I'm waiting for my tag. "Oh, that Gayle. Okay." And I said, "Great, I'm glad people know who I am." 40 years later, it was interesting. It was really an awesome experience, though, to walk in and see the place and see what Prince had been able to do in his life and see the fruition of all of that. I'd never been, and it was really a privilege to be there, and then to be on stage and be with, my old bandmates. The one person I did miss seeing was Andre, and it would have been great to see him. But I'm looking forward to having an opportunity at some point to see him again.
Cool.
All right. Great.
So, Miss Chapman, going back to your early years, I was, when you was on the panel, when you were talking. And I was just curious to the type of music that you grew up on, that you considered, back in the day that was hot, that you were, loving to play back then.
My mother was a symphony cellist, so I grew up around classical music, and I never liked the Rolling Stones. I never liked top 40 radio. I sang in 2 operas by the time I was 14 and 15. I was taking opera lessons, so I was classically trained, but I started playing the guitar when I was 9. I still play guitar, I still play keyboards. I started playing keyboards when I was 2, and I would always write my own stuff, and my mom would say, she'd have to sneak up behind me and stand there and catch me in the act, and she'd literally stand over my shoulder and say, "Practice, Gayle, practice. Keep your mind on your work. Practice, Gayle, practice. So, and I thank God that she did that, because when it came down to loving the kind of music Prince was doing, I had no problem with that, because as soon as I was old enough to sneak out of the house and listen to something different other than Maria Callas, I really enjoyed listening to things like George Duke and Ten Wheel Drive and Ronnie Laws and Sly and the Family Stone, and I mean, teenage white girl listening to all this black soul music. I loved it. I loved it. So when I moved to Minneapolis, I had a couple of goals in mind. One was to learn something about the Bible, because I'd seen a lot of my friends turn into Jesus freaks and overnight, and I never really understood it. And the other one was to either become a rock star or work with one. You know, kind of like in one of those comic books, the ads would say, become a model or at least look like one. That was kind of the thought in my head. Be a rock star or at least work with one. So I actually ended up doing both. So I met some people that were in a Christian ministry that were friends of Prince's, and they introduced me to Charles, his cousin, who I didn't know was his cousin. And this is the history in a nutshell, I guess. I started jamming with Charles in my living room. I lived on Pennsylvania Avenue in a 2-bedroom house. I lived upstairs and the other guy lived downstairs. And he would go to work at night, and I'd invite Charles over and we would jam. He'd bring this drum kit over, and I had my keyboard set up in the living room. We'd jam till 9, 10 o'clock, and he'd leave. And then one night I was listening to an album that these friends I'd met had brought over. It was the For You album. And they said, "Have you heard of this guy?" And I said, No, never heard of him. And I put it on, and I was home alone, and I cranked it up as loud as I could, and I'm going, I like this. I really like this. And then while the music was playing, it was super loud. And I just remember this voice like coming through the ceiling and through my head and out the other direction. And it was the most bizarre thing. There was nobody home. It was me. And this voice said, in order for Prince to tour, he's going to need a band. And I turned the music down and I looked around and I said, hello? So the next day when I saw Charles, I said, you know this guy? He says, yeah, he's my cousin. I went, so does he need a band? He says, well, yeah, they're doing auditions right now. And I said, okay. Why didn't you tell me about this? And he said, well, I thought you were working with somebody already. I said, who gives a shit? I'd rather work with this guy any day. Right. So I went and auditioned, and I didn't think I really stood a chance of getting the gig. I mean, I walked in and just felt totally out of place. And then I went downstairs and jammed with the guys. Prince, Bobby, and Andre were there. And then I left, wished them well, and went home and didn't hear from them for 3 months. And then I was taking a nap one afternoon. I was living in a basement apartment in Bloomington by that time, and I get a phone call, and it's Prince, and he says in his monotone voice, hello, Gayle, this is Prince, what are you doing? And I said, well, sleeping, but I'm awake now. What can I do for you? And he said, can you make it to practice in an hour? And I said, yeah. And that was the beginning of that. So from classical music to funk and roll, focus that I don't want to do. And so I stick to things that people want to hear. I do my own music, but I also cover jazz and country and rock and folk and blues. And when people ask me to play Prince songs, I know maybe 3. It's really sad. It's really bad. But there's so much music out there, you can't possibly know it all.
Right.
True.
Yeah.
True.
And and Prince was so prolific in his writing. I mean, I don't know how anybody keeps up with him. Even the impersonators. It's amazing. It's amazing the work that guy did. But look at all the people that worked with him and influenced him. There's some monster players out there.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So
what were the 3 songs that you remember?
If I Love You Tonight, what's the names of them? You, and I mean, this is like really old stuff.
Right.
Yeah. The rebel stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there was one other. I'd have to look it up. I can't remember the name of it, but it's easy to play on a guitar.
Oh, okay.
If you just want to whip out, if somebody asked me to play something by Prince and they want something rock type,
right.
The one I can't remember that I'll do. If they want a ballad, I'll do If I Love You Tonight. If they're really really drunk, I'll try and pull off You.
Okay. All right. So, American Bandstand.
Yes.
You was there. What was that like? Because I actually watched that last week, and it's become such a classic moment. What was the conversation afterwards? You know what I mean? Or what were you thinking? Like during the interview part, especially.
Well, we were specifically told not to say anything. And we were specifically told not to smile. Keep a straight face, which is, I don't know if you've noticed, it's really hard to do for me.
Right.
But, I'm basically a happy person, and so was Prince, but it's hard to do when you're like on a television show with a very famous person like Dick Clark. Like, can I say something? Can I say something? You know, it's like, no, you stand there and you shut up. Because I wasn't the star of the show. Prince was. It was his thing. So the interview was with Prince, and then of course when they got around to introducing everybody, it was, and who's the lovely lady behind the keyboards? I had to crack a smile. So, you know, it's just polite. So, but what were we thinking? I don't think there's much that when you're in that kind of position on a TV show with a staged audience, with other stars waiting for their thing to go on stage, and you're all backstage and you're running into people that you go, I know who that is. I know who that is. You know, all these lineups of people, they go from one show to the next. There's this calm and this still that sits in your head when you're finally out there, because you're just focused on what you're doing.
Mm.
And so we did as we were told. We behaved. And when we were done, I have no idea what we did after that. I don't remember. We probably were shuffled into a car and taken off to the hotel.
Mm.
Why? What have the other guys said? Have you talked to them?
No.
Not
No.
yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Not yet. No. Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
I just thought it was an interesting moment. You know, it actually looked like he was pissed when Dick Clark had mentioned, like, this kind of music don't come out of Minneapolis, and he just kind of looked like, fool, what you talking about? You know,
Yeah.
it was pretty funny. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Well, it was a really tough moment for Dick Clark, because normally when he has stars of any level on his show, they're glad to be there. They're almost groveling at him, and Prince was going to have none of that. No groveling from Minneapolis. So, and Prince, I think over the years learned to do interviews really, really well. There's only so much you want to say. I never figured that out. I've had people take what I say and twist it in a million ways, but that's life, you know.
Right. So, how many instruments do you play?
I play piano and guitar,
Uh-huh.
or keyboards anyway, and I sing.
Okay.
So, 3.
Okay, cool.
That's enough.
Nice.
Right.
At my age, my hands hurt, you know.
Uh-huh.
All right. What's up, Lenny B?
I was going to know which one do you prefer to write songs with, like, or is this?
That's an interesting question too. Somebody asked me just the other day, do people write lyrics first or the music first? And I said, every writer's different, but every moment of inspiration is also different. I can't say that I would write something on the guitar first and then sit down and create more of it on the piano, and vice versa, because every piece is different, and every instrument that supplies some of that inspiration is different too. Every moment's different. Everything that inspires you with, say, a lyrical idea, lyrics have a complete rhythm of their own. So when you're writing lyrics, you have a thought in your mind that didn't just stem out of nowhere. It's information that's been sitting there for a while, and it finally comes coughing out in this form. And sometimes it takes 10 minutes to write an entire song. Other times you take a concept and you're writing it down, and it's kind of like painting a watercolor, the blues for the sky, the white for the clouds, the green for the trees, and then it comes together, and then you put it together. You see how the whole thing flows. But I really believe anybody can write good material if they think about what they're doing. If they're not a musician, of course, it's more difficult to write music. But I've talked to lots of people. I've taught a lot of people over the years. And one of the things I've found really interesting is a person who has no real musical ability can still have rhythmical ideas and lyrics, and they'll say, can you please put music to this? And I'll say, sure. What do you think of this? And they'll go, well, I was thinking more of something a little softer or something a little harder. So you switch it up a little for them, and you think about all the possibilities you could come up with, and they go, yeah, that's it. Or, yeah, maybe I should ask someone else, you know. It just depends. It just depends. But there's no one way to start when you're writing a song. It comes to you and you write it down, or it comes to you and you play it out. And if you're with a band of people that understand your musicianship and musicality, they will join in with you and add to that. And that's what jam sessions become. And there's some really cool jams that occur from one person's inspiration that starts something, and everybody else catches on and they add their flavor. Like, I did some of that tonight at rehearsal, because I'm in a band that's an original funk band, and we've got a horn section. So between the horn section and I wasn't paying any attention, and suddenly everybody else started playing in with me. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I can't tell you what it was now, because nobody recorded it. We just had fun. But that's how a lot of things get started too. If we did record it and say, hey, let's get back to this idea, it could be developed into something much bigger. So on the band level, that's sometimes how things work.
Okay, I was gonna ask that too. You're in another band. Will y'all be doing any touring or anything like that? Or is it?
Probably not with these guys unless they. They're a local bunch of guys with families and kids, and I don't think they're great players. I don't know. I think it'd be kind of fun. I don't want to say never or no, because I'd be gone in a heartbeat if I had an offer somewhere else, but you know,
Right.
I don't, so I'm enjoying myself doing this.
Okay. Was you gonna say something, Micah?
Yeah. Going back to I believe it was early 1980, the Rick James Fire It Up tour. I'm curious to know what was that experience like, and from your perspective, what was the tension of the so-called rivalry between Rick and Prince?
I think I was pretty oblivious to men hitting on me back then. I was so focused on what I was doing that when Rick James invited me over to have breakfast with his band, it really pissed Prince off, and I didn't understand why. You know, I guess you just don't do that. But we were literally 20 people at this big long table eating grits and eggs and bacon and you know. And then he said, I got a new tour bus. You want to see my tour bus? I said, sure. I've never been on a tour bus before. And so I go on and I look at the tour bus, and he says, just take a look around. So I looked around, and really there was no funny business, no nothing. I walked on, I saw his heart-shaped bed in the back. I said, well, that's cool. You sleep in that? He says, among other things. I said, great. And I turned around and walked back to the front of the bus. And then we sat down, and he says, I want to show you my new album cover. And I said, oh, okay. That's nice. He says, what do you think of it? And I told him what I thought of it, and I can't even remember what it looked like. But at that point, somebody came on the bus and said, Gayle, you have to get off the bus now. And I said, okay. And so, and they said, Prince wants you back down the street here. And I said, okay. So I did. And then I realized that Prince was actually angry that I had done that. So, but he never really told me why. So it might have been the protecting his camp kind of thing. I was the only chick in the band at the time. And, you know, I guess I was grateful for that, but I wasn't like afraid of Rick James or any of his people. They're just people.
Right.
I didn't feel like I was being preyed upon by evil Rick James. You know? Protect me! Help! You know?
Oh wow.
I mean, even though a lot of things came out later on, I know. I mean, but like I said, I was probably just oblivious and having a good time, and
Wow.
Prince made sure that I got off the bus, so I did.
Might have been a good thing.
Yeah, I probably was. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to meet Tina Marie?
I did not, but people have told me over the years that there were a few things that I did that were comparable, and I would shake my head and go, really? I guess. I mean, but she was an amazing musician, really amazing. I wish I had met her.
I mean, to me, y'all favorite back then. So because the picture of you and Prince on stage, the 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 infamous picture of you and Prince on stage, I will say.
There's more than one.
Oh yeah.
I was when I was younger. When I finally saw the picture, I was like, when did Prince meet Tina Marie? What are they doing on stage? That's what I thought when I saw the picture. So I was thinking, well, maybe that's why he hired the girl keyboard player. She looks like Tina Marie. You know what I'm saying? And that's when back in my hood, it was Prince versus Rick. Before now,
Yeah.
years later, the stories, and now I know who you are now. You know what I'm saying? So it was just funny to me when I looked at when I was like, wow, she reminds me of Tina Marie. And now you tell the story. Rick asked you on the bus. And I'm thinking, is Rick thinking the same thing I'm thinking?
You might have been,
Yeah, no.
You never know what people are thinking unless they tell you.
Most likely, they said he had that aura around him. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, man.
So you've had 3 albums yourself, right?
Yeah, I haven't afforded to do a lot like that, but I'd like to do more. I mean, life is short. I'm going to
Right.
turn 62 next week.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
Well, happy birthday.
You know-
Happy
Thank you.
birthday.
Happy
Thank you very
birthday.
much.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I want to do more recording. I want to go back on the road, but that's like stuff I'm working on. So, the one thing that going to Paisley Park was good for was meeting other people and getting to talk with them, and also sharing some ideas. There's this thing going on with the Capri Theater in Minneapolis that I want to help raise money for the finishing of their project. So I've started work on that. And then I hooked up with the PRN alumni organization.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm trying to figure out how I can do this. I'm going to be talking to Des Dickerson tomorrow because Des and I have a lot in common. I'm not sure why, but we just, it was like running into him and spending as much time as I did with him at Paisley Park on this last trip. It was like there's been 40 years between before that I seen him, but it was like yesterday. We just had a really great time. We hung out the entire time, and he didn't have a car, so I did, so I drove him back and forth. So he was pretty much my prisoner in the car and had to talk to me. But no, it was great, and we covered a lot of ground. It was really cool.
Cool.
I'm sorry I didn't get to see Andre. Andre's been on tour, I guess. A lot of touring. But what I'd like to do...
Yeah, I was actually about to ask that.
Yeah. Speaking of the Capri Theater, the first show that Prince did with the band, I guess, was at the Capri Theater.
Yes.
Where all the big record executives came. Was that show really that bad?
I think it wasn't as good as it needed to be because there were a few real bloopers that went on during that show. And it mostly because of the distraction of what happened with Dez's new battery-operated wireless guitar setup. Because it picked up it picked up every trucker that went by for a while in the middle of the show. So, and that was amplified over the loudspeakers. 10 forward, buddy.
Wow.
So, yeah. Which also produced feedback and other things, and we had to stop this. And I don't remember this necessarily, but I think this is what Des said at the panels. He says, yeah, we had to stop so we could get it figured out and sound tested again, and then we picked up where we left off. But yeah, that would be kind of an embarrassing thing. I mean, especially when you've practiced and worked and worked and worked, and you've got the sets down, and you're in go mode to have something like that happen. It's like
Right.
You can't just work through it. You have to stop, get it fixed, and then pick up where you left off. And I think that's where the executives probably said, yeah, maybe not this time. Maybe next time.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Lenny B.
Well, I wanted to know, as far as wardrobe, did you pick out what you wanted to wear, or was that something that Prince wanted everybody to look a certain way, and he actually picked what you were supposed to?
That's a great question. When I worked with Prince, there was no wardrobe department. We basically picked out what we wanted to wear. I mean, Prince ran the gamut of trying different things and then telling us what he thought we should be wearing. So I would pick out certain types of lingerie, like Olga's sleepwear and stuff that you'd wear to bed, basically, and or wear underneath a blouse or something, and then doll it up with hose and boots. And that went over for a while, and then when we got to Jacksonville, Florida, he had a whole different idea, and his girlfriend at the time came down and knocked on my hotel door, and she came in. She had a little paper bag in her hand, and she pours it out on the bed, the contents on the bed, and she looks at me and says, "Prince says, wear this tonight or you're fired." And I picked it up. I picked it up, and it was literally this multicolored metallic material bikini underwear and top with a bra that probably fit her because she was rather large-breasted, and I never have been. And so I stuck my fist in the tops of the boob, the bra on it, and said, "I don't think this will work. So take this back to Prince and tell him that I will go shopping in the morning and I'll come up with something that is appropriate." And so she did, and he didn't fire me, but by 10 a.m. the next morning, I was out looking for the nearest lingerie shop, and I found one about 3/4 of a mile away, and they weren't open yet. And I banged on the door because I saw somebody in there, and she says, "We're not open yet." And I said, "I know, but I need to talk to you for a second." And so she says, "What do you need?" And I began to tell her what I was doing and why I was banging on her door. And she opens the door and she says, "Let's get started." She pours me a glass of wine at 10:30, 11 in the morning, and says, "So, you need a few things." She says, she brings me a teddy, which is like a one-piece undersuit that would go on underneath a corset. So the costume was built as hose first, teddy over the hose, looks like a bathing suit basically, corset over that, and then silk seam stockings over opaque colored hose that were already on underneath the teddy. So the corset was black satin with white polka dots, and little teeny white polka dots, and tying up the back, and then of course boots. You had to have boots, and I already had a whole suitcase full of boots with me. So, and I had a silk robe to cover it all up with, so nobody knew what I was wearing when we went to play in Jacksonville that night. So we get backstage, and I'm covered up because he wants to see it, and I'm not going to show it to him.
Mm.
And Matt says, "Hey, Gayle, what'd you get? Come on, can I see it?" I said, "Sure." So I give him a little flash. He goes, "Whoa." So Prince gets introduced, the band goes up on stage, and of course, while we're crawling up on stage, there's these, five stairs to go up, and I toss off the rope to the roadie, and the roadie goes, "Whoa," and the guys in front of me turn around, and they're like, the crowd is screaming at Prince, and the band is looking at me in my new outfit, right? Okay, I'm good. I passed the test, so.
All right.
Wow.
Then I figured out how to shop for a few things after that. So there was the red leopard outfit, and there was the silver spandex pants and the orange spandex pants and skin-tight tops that I would never wear again in a million years. But it was fun. It was fun. It was lots of fun.
Mm.
Did Prince ever wear anything that shocked you?
No.
Mm.
No. It's entertainment. If there's anything that I learned early on, costuming was a huge part of it. I mean, like, for instance, in opera, both times that I sang in operas, with when the Metropolitan Opera would come through town, they would hire a chorus, and people would try out for the opera chorus. I was always the youngest person in the opera chorus, and I would have to have my hair done and up in these big, Renaissance styles and long velvet gowns that you nearly sweat to death in, and lots of heavy makeup for the stage, and and when you're 14 and 15 years old and doing that, it's like that's a big deal. So you get to doing something with Prince, you're not wearing gowns anymore, you're wearing almost nothing or something, but it's something that gets people to look at you, and that's the whole idea. You see him wearing everything from spandex pants to little lace-up undies to, what was that zebra stripe thing he wore, and then of course buttless pants, you name it. Oh, but the one that really kills me that I forgot all about until I saw it recently was the one where he's wearing blue running shorts. It's like, what were you thinking? Why blue running shorts?
Wow.
Yeah. Is there any particular show from that tour that stands out to you?
I wish there was. After 40 years, you think you'll never forget stuff like that, but you do. And I think it's when I have to think of particular instances, like when you ask me the question about costumes. I mean, then memories like the one in Jacksonville come up. But I have listened to some of the live recordings of older concerts that we did, and I remember some of the parts that I sang, but I don't remember. I really don't remember being there.
Mhm.
It's really sad.
Wow.
Life goes on.
Right.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah. So do you remember like when like El Boogie was saying earlier about the photos of you and Prince doing some lip locking? Uh, do you remember what song you guys were performing? And also were you comfortable making out with him on stage?
Whoa. Whoa.
Nobody's ever asked me that before. Um, was I comfortable? Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
what's not to like about making out with a superstar on stage and being the first one to do so? I mean, um, I think I think that was such a shocker to audiences back then that it just had to be done.
Right.
It just had to be done. I mean, I can remember being hollered at in not so nice ways by girls in the audience that really did not like that part of the show
Oh wow.
because because of
Right.
the yeah, because of the race difference. But I'm like, get
Mm.
over it. You want them? You come up here.
Right. Mm, mm, mm.
Man.
So from my understanding is, did you know that he was gonna kiss you beforehand, or it
Every
he just it was a spontaneous thing? He just did it during the show.
Nothing was spontaneous. No, it was everything was planned.
Okay.
Cool.
He didn't always tell the guys, so I think the first time that went down on stage, um, Bobby, I think, really just he had a tough time with it, and I'm not sure
Oh man.
why, but
Mm.
and then Des and Andre were like, "So, what's this? It's just part of the show. It's like no big deal. Get over it."
Right, right.
'Cause
Mm.
I wasn't his girlfriend. I never, and people have asked me, and just so you know, people have asked me, was there some relationship there? No, there never was. It
Mm.
was just I agreed to do what he wanted on stage.
Right.
Rock and roll, baby. That's what they
Rock
say.
and
Rock
roll.
and roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said as long as your breath is fresh and you know, scraped your tongue, we're good.
That's true. Right.
Right on.
Oh man.
Mm,
That's funny.
So, are there any artists that's out there that you like today, or that you would recommend listening to that you love?
Probably no one you haven't heard of already. I love Bruce Hornsby. I love Bonnie Raitt.
Mm.
I love Aretha Franklin. She's just so good at what she does.
Mm.
But um, as far as listening to somebody now, there's been a there's been a rash of not so good music, I think. I mean, we've got through the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s, and the 2000 through 2010, and nothing really impressed me in that time frame. There are a few smatterings of good songs, but now it seems like there's more writers coming to the scene with all the independent singer-songwriters, all the independent musicians, and less of the um, crushing contractual nonsense from the big record companies, the big labels. There's better entertainment coming out now, again, I think. Um, But of course, I had to ask me who. So
I know it's hard. It's hard.
let me think. There's just so much. There's so
Right.
much. I mean, I also play in a rockioke band. I've done dueling pianos, so you learn all kinds of stuff on the fly when you do stuff like that. But you also have to come to the table with a fair amount of material to play. But Boise Rockioke is a band that I also play in here because I'm in Boise, Idaho, and um, uh, Rockioke is karaoke with a live band. So you have to learn all this other music. Doesn't matter. I mean, there's this big range of stuff. It's not. I mean, there's everything from rock, funk, soul, alternative to everything because you have a list of like 350 songs that people choose from, and they all get up on, they get up on stage one by one, and MC announces them, and we teach them how to drop the hammer at the beginning of the night. What dropping the hammer is, right? At the end of the song. That way the band knows to end. Because we make them stay up there while we're playing until they figure out they're supposed to end the song. It's like you're a rock star for 3 minutes or 5 minutes. It's up to you,
Right.
But we have to know that stuff. We don't know it perfectly. I mean, a lot of times when there's material I've never heard before, for instance, I'll have a lyric sheet in front of me with a bunch of chord symbols scrawled across the top of the page. It's literally how you learn to play some of this stuff. Fortunately, there are other band members that have been there for a long time, and they holler at you at times. Bridge! G! Dog! Dog means D, right?
Right.
You just kind of sit there and you do it, and they go, solo! Solo. So you play a solo, and it's like, it's all good. The people are having a good time. But
All right.
how did I get off on that subject? You
No, you're good. You're good.
Good.
For sure.
Yeah.
But music. So I guess the whole idea is, I guess what I'm trying to say is there's a whole lot of music out there. Some of it's fantastic. Some of it is not so fantastic, but it touches a spot with people and they love it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you want to tell the people about what you're doing? You already explained what you got going on. Is there anything else you want to say? You would like to say?
And I like supporting people in their efforts to improve what they do, or if they're just learning, teach them how to do it correctly from the very beginning. I also I also am a realtor, so I do a little bit of real estate and play as much music as I possibly can. I recently hooked up with a gal named Michelle Green out of San Francisco, and we were hooking up with Monica Carlson of Alicia Keys' band, and we were going to go to the Maldives for Christmas, but that deal fell through because we were all going to do a gig out there. And I thought, hell yes, I'll go to the Maldives for Christmas and New Year's. Why not? But that didn't happen, so we have our sights working on other things for as far as that goes. I also just bought into a franchise business in digital information, so I'm gearing up to learn about stuff like that because it's business, and unless I can really nail down some musicians that I want to work with really full time, and because I have a lot of music in my head that I want to get out, and I've been writing it slowly as I go. I'm also working on a memoir, but um, I really want to be able to put out another CD, but I'm probably not going to do it with the people I'm working with here. Not that they're not good enough, it's just it would be really tough to coordinate that effort. So it's like I'll do some of it on my own. I'll let little bits and pieces out along the way, but at some point it'll all come together because I'm working on it.
Mm-hmm.
And right now my house is my probably biggest project, mostly because I tore it apart last year and moved a bunch of walls and things, and then I had to fire the contractor because he was doing a very bad job. And so I'm picking up the mantle and working on that now as well. So it's like I micromanage my time. I don't know. What can I tell you? I guess there isn't much else to say other than I really appreciate your interest in talking to me and asking me all those great questions.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I love doing this, and I love talking to people about it. It's even when Prince was alive, people would say, "Can you actually talk about stuff?" I said, "Oh yeah, I never signed any gag rule when I was there. I can say what I want, and they can't shut me up." So
Good.
That's what's up. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, like I said, I always wondered where you were over the years, and then to see you at the celebration was a treat. Because, like I said, back in the day, when I saw you up there on stage, I was like, well, Prince guy got a hot chick on stage with him. So if he comes to Cincinnati, we have to go see him play. So to see you at Paisley Park was a treat for me because you're still hot as you was back then, right now. I'm just gonna put it out there like that.
thank you very much. Yeah, I
You walked there, we was like, who's the girl with who is the fox with the silver hair, man?
Oh yeah.
well, thank you very much. That's very very kind of you. Yeah, my favorite things to do outside of work is hike, bike, and swim. Swimming probably at the top of the list. I love to swim. So.
Cool.
That's cool.
I'll bike. I don't hike and swim that much no more.
I just dance. I used to roller skate.
Right.
I used to roller skate. I used to roller skate too.
Yeah, that's what's
It's
up.
fun.
Yeah. They started. Well, see, we used to like take our toe stoppers off so we could do more moves. But somewhere along the line in the '90s, all the roller skating rinks started making you keep your toe stoppers on, and they had these little toes. So it just blew my whole mood. Because if I can't be funky while I'm skating, I'm just not gonna skate.
Yeah. Yep. I get it.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Got anything else, CMS?
Well, I guess not. I'm still a musician. I'll be
Right.
playing till I die. You know
Mhm.
what I do.
Well, we'll be waiting. We'll definitely be waiting on that CD.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I
Definitely.
appreciate that. Yeah, and keep in touch with me. Ask me anything you want over Facebook, and I'll I'll try and keep everybody posted as to any progress with that because it may be at a standstill for the last couple of months, but I think come October there'll be some real movement again because I'm going to head out. I'm going to head back to Minneapolis for a function at the PRN alumni,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and I guess Maceo Parker's going to be there, and I want to see his band.
along with Candy Dolphin's going to be there too.
Yes.
So that's going to be
Yeah.
hot.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be in the building, so hopefully we'll be there.
Yes.
We'll get to see you, and you
Well,
can say anything. You can
Yeah,
say
make sure you have get my phone number from Perry. That way we can all
Oh, okay.
when we're there we can text each other and meet up and have coffee or
Oh, yeah.
something.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Cool.
That's great.
Sure.
That's great.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Nice. Yeah.
And we want to thank you for your time. We appreciate you for sure.
Thank you.
You know. So if the fellas ain't got anything else,
No, I'm good. What about you, CMS? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. I'll just say I'll be looking forward for you, Andre, Bobby, and Dez to reunite and do a big show back at the Capri or something. I'm just putting it out there. Just an idea.
Right. But
It would be fun. I can't make any promises because I have no idea. That's just a thought I have in my head that I'd love to do some work with Andre and Bobby, or not Bobby necessarily, but Andre and Dez. If Bobby wanted to, that'd be one thing. I really don't think Bobby is that interested in doing anything with me. I don't know why, but I just get that feeling from him. Kind of, some things you just kind of know, and you just kind of shake your head and go, okay, I get it.
right.
I don't, but I do.
All right.
40 years passes, there's a lot of distance sometimes, and I think that's
Right.
part of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate your time. We really do.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This was a treat, and I appreciate you asking me all those great questions.
Oh yeah.
It's
Right.
all out. The Purple Underground has officially put you in the underground. You are one of the queens of the underground now. So you can come in the underground and post what you want, promote what you want. And
Okay.
it doesn't
Oh yeah.
have to be about music either, or it could be movies or whatever. Because we're an entertainment lounge. So,
What's the URL for the underground?
On Facebook it's just the Purple Underground Entertainment Lounge.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
If you want me to, I can add you in there because we're actually friends on Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Just so you know.
That'd be
I mean, you
great.
probably didn't know, but I'm sure you got plenty of Facebook friends. So, but
right.
yeah.
I have a lot of Facebook friends that I've never met.
Us too. That's what we do.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I don't think I want to talk to you anymore.
Wow.
Yeah. You get it.
Right.
All right,
That's
P-Rock.
Facebook.
All right. So thank
All
you
right,
again,
guys.
Gayle. We will definitely
Yeah,
keep
thank
in
you.
touch.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Much
Sure.
love.
Yeah. Much love. God bless you.
Mwah.
God bless you. Thank you very much. Good
All
night.
right. Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night. Thank you.